এপত গৈছেনে? ৱেইটিঙে দেখা আছে। Good afternoon, dear students. So, আজি আমি ExSchoolত প্ৰথমবাৰৰ বাবে তোমালোক সকলোকে স্বাগতম জনাইছো. I welcome all of you to ExSchool for our first session. So, today we shall be discussing about the syllabus, the very basic introductory class we are going to conduct for today. So, as you can see, we are trying to have a very brief discussion today about the syllabus. So तुम्हारे CBSE बोर्ड दिया मते जो आप लोगों को दिया हुआ है आपके सिलेबस के हिसाब से हम वहाँ पे डिस्कशन उसी बारे में डिस्कशन करेंगे. और जैसे कि आपने देखा है आप लोगों का कोड 087 है एंड एग्जैक्टली आप लोग अगर देखें तो वो आप लोगों को CBSE के वेबसाइट में भी मिलेगा. ठीक है? All right. So let us discuss on how the course structure is supposed to be. Okay, about what kind of summative or formative assessments you are going to get through your exam schedule, what kind of chapters you are supposed to study, which chapter will carry what kind of marks, and which chapters we need to skip from our exam perspective. So everything we will discuss very briefly so that after this class you do not have any kind of confusion regarding the syllabus. Okay, so first things first, I'd like to introduce myself. Hello everyone, I am Sarmistha Ma'am. So I will be your social science teacher for this session. So I welcome you all. Okay, so I welcome you all and okay. All right. So any kind of doubt, any kind of questions, any kind of queries that might rise into your mind while attending the session, you may drop it into the comment section in the comment box, or you can also ask me directly through it. So every question of yours shall be addressed. So you need not worry about it, right? All right. So coming back to the syllabus, today we are going to discuss about how we are going to proceed with our classes and what kind of questions or what kind of queries usually students have in their minds while attending the class. Okay, so let us begin the class. So see, first thing, when we speak of class 10 social science, you need to understand that class 9th and 10th social science is very much linked to each other, right? So if some of the basis is not clear, so proceeding with the session, proceeding with the class becomes a little difficult. So since we are going to begin with the 10th session, I would like to request you, इफ आप लोगों को कोई भी डाउट है, कोई भी किसी भी तरह का प्रॉब्लम है from the 9th session, you may also ask that prior to our session. Okay, prior to our sessions. All right, so if you have any doubt that is in your mind, you may ask it. So I would always suggest that anything or everything from the 9th class needs to be clear, because it provides the basic for our 10th session. Okay, basic understanding, or the basic foundation I would refer to. Okay, or the basic foundation for our class 10th. Okay, so यहाँ पे डरने की कोई बात नहीं है, क्योंकि पहली बात तो ये है कि क्लास 9th से comparatively easy है क्लास 10 का social science. यहाँ पे economics is very easy. Pol science is also pretty much, it is easy. Then when we speak of geography is a little lengthy. You're going to have to remember a lot of facts as well as places, right? So that is another thing that we need to make sure, because CBSE also asks you very in-depth question. If you haven't seen it, okay, if you haven't seen it, you'll realize, you would not realize, but you'll have to. Okay, for that we will analyze some of the PYQs. You'll easily understand with the help of PYQs. Okay, so okay, so let us begin with the course here. Okay, तो यहाँ पे हिस्ट्री का सिलेबस दिया हुआ है. ओके, सो हिस्ट्री के सिलेबस से पहले स्टार्ट करते हैं. यहाँ पे आप लोग अगर गौर करें तो बात ये है कि जितने भी चैप्टर्स है वो सारे चैप्टर्स असेसमेंट के लिए नहीं आएंगे, है ना. नॉट ऑल चैप्टर्स आर कमिंग फॉर योर असेसमेंट, आर गोइंग टू बी इवैल्यूएटेड इन योर फाइनल एग्जामिनेशन. So as you are very aware of, your final examination will be conducted by the board. You are going to write a paper that is going to be presented to you by the board, right? So since it is your board exam, again it might haphazardly create a kind of confusion or maybe a little bit of fright in you, right? So we will certainly try that you are not left with any kind of fright in the first place. And secondly, very beautifully we will discuss that what needs to be studied and what we can skip. But the thing is that since it is the beginning of the session, I would not recommend to you that we need to leave certain classes or leave certain chapters as a whole. All right, okay. All right, then हम देखते हैं यहाँ पे क्या क्या दिया हुआ है. पहले हिस्ट्री सिलेबस के बारे में बात करेंगे. हिस्ट्री सिलेबस में ये पांचों चैप्टर्स, ओनली 5 चैप्टर्स आर इंक्लूडेड इन योर हिस्ट्री सिलेबस, राइट? ओके, ओके, ओके. सो सी, द फर्स्ट थिंग आई वुड लाइक टू टेल यू कि यहाँ पे जितने भी हिस्ट्री के सिलेबस में इंक्लूड किया हुआ है, यहाँ के सारे चैप्टर्स हमें नहीं चाहिए. पहली बात, जैसे कि चैप्टर 4 में दिया हुआ है अबाउट एज ऑफ इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन. सो एज इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन का जो चैप्टर है दैट विल बी इवैल्यूएटेड ओनली इन द फॉर्म ऑफ फॉर्मेटिव और आई थिंक इंटरनल असेसमेंट. ओके, वी कैन ऑल्सो कॉल दैट एन इंटरनल असेसमेंट. सो लेट्स जस्ट लुक इनटू द चैप्टर्स. Another thing, see, your entire paper, okay, entire coursework will also include map work, right? Will also include map work, and that map work will come from, that map work is supposed to come from your history syllabus, okay, your history syllabus, and the other is your geography syllabus. So political science and your geography part does not include any map work, but whenever we are speaking of history, yes, history and geography will be accompanied with map questions. All right, so we will certainly practice map questions in our classes. So very briefly, I'm just giving you an overview that what your exam paper might be inclusive of. Okay, so last time का जो paper था वहाँ पे हम लोगों ने देखा कि history, geography, economics and political science had their own 4 parts, right? तो अकॉर्डिंगली ज्योग्राफी एंड हिस्ट्री पोर्शन में मैप वर्क का इंक्लूजन दिया हुआ था. हमने इससे पहले भी मैंने जो लास्ट सीबीएसई का सेशन करवाया है वहाँ पे स्टूडेंट्स को वेरी क्लियरली आई हैव मेड देम वेरी क्लियर विद द आइडिया ऑफ मैप वर्क, जहाँ पे मोस्टली कॉमन क्वेश्चंस आए हैं एग्जाम में. ओके, सो मैपर के बारे में सिलेबस में ऑलरेडी दे दिया गया है कि इन्हीं में से आने के चांसेस है और उन्हीं में से आए हैं, उन्हीं में से आएंगे. बट उसके अलावा भी हम कुछ और क्वेश्चंस भी देख सकते हैं जो हम लोग लेटर ऑफ द क्लासेस डिस्कशन करेंगे. जैसे जैसे हमारा सेशन आगे बढ़ता जाएगा हम लोग वो भी डिस्कशन करेंगे. ऑलराइट, सो यहाँ पे आप लोग देखिए, पहले हमें इवेंट्स एंड प्रोसेसेस में राइज ऑफ नेशनलिज्म के बारे में दिया हुआ है. ओके, so we will be reading about the European nationalism, the idea of European nationalism, and secondly we will read about nationalism in India. Okay, so these two chapters ultimately speaks of the idea of nationalism, and but the places are different. Like firstly we will look about the idea of emergence of nationalism, the very idea, okay, that how nationalism incorporates or inhibits a sense of commonness, okay, a sense of feeling. Okay, so we will speak of how the idea of nationalism emerged. Okay, we will speak of some of the thinkers as well. Then we have nationalism in India, whereby we will be speaking of Mahatma Gandhi, okay, and his different endeavors, okay, including the Salt March and every retaliation against the British we will be speaking of. Okay, let's not write it. So we have nationalism in India. Then second part is making of the global world. If you notice very carefully, this is the same syllabus that was given for even the session 25-26 session के लिए भी same syllabus था. There is no certain change in this syllabus for the new session. So the third chapter, which is making of the global world, यहाँ पे बस सब जो हमारे पार्ट्स है, सब कैटेगरीज है, जैसे कि 1 and 1.3 तक ही आने वाला है. नॉट द एंटायर सिलेबस इज रिक्वायर्ड, ओनली द first three parts of the chapter will be evaluated and the rest you do not need to study very depthly. See, यहाँ पे दिया हुआ है पेज नंबर्स भी दिया हुआ है, और नहीं पेज नंबर्स नहीं, नंबर सब टॉपिक्स 2 to 4.4, that is for internal assessment. Okay, that is for internal assessment. Okay, ऑल राइट, जहाँ पे हमें ब्रेटन वुड्स इंस्टीट्यूशन के बारे में हम लोग को देखने मिलेगा, एंड ओवरऑल व्हाट इज ग्लोबलाइजेशन एक्सेट्रा के बारे में. ठीक है, देन नंबर 4 मैंने जैसे कहा, दिस इज नॉट सपोज टू बी कमिंग, दिस इज कैंसल्ड पार्ट. Okay, but we will have to study it because this is not supposed to be evaluated in your board exams, but it will be evaluated in your periodic assessment. All right, so about chapter 3, this is only to be partially evaluated. Okay, it is to be partially evaluated. And the other part we are speaking of, that is about the age of industrialization, it is to be periodically evaluated. Okay, periodically in the sense for your internal assessment. It can be your formative assessment as well. Okay, it will be decided by your school. Okay, periodically evaluated. Okay, is supposed to be periodically evaluated. All right, then the last portion is that of the print culture. Okay, last portion is that of print culture in the modern world. Again, this is a very important topic that gets evaluated. Okay, long questions are typically asked. Okay, long questions are typically asked from this question, and also apart from that, you're also going to notice some of the MCQs from this chapter. So from the history syllabus, I'd say that chapter 1, 2 and chapter 5 are the most important topics, which should not, or which you can't ignore. While, sorry, this was supposed to be 5. Okay, so which you can't ignore because these are typically the areas CBSE asks questions from. Okay, all right, so let us look at the next question. Sorry, next syllabus. Okay, all right, so okay, let us look at the geography syllabus. I'll write for you. The geography syllabus is not included, I suppose. Okay, so for the geography syllabus, if we look into, okay, So another thing, when we were speaking of history, so see, since your paper is supposed to be 80 marks, right? 80 marks is divided into 20, 20, 20, 20, okay? From each part, 4 parts is divided equally into 20, but history, when we speak of history में 18 questions आपके syllabus के writing, okay, including your MCQs as well as the writing of your questions, 18 marks आने वाला है, और 2 questions will be from your map work. Okay, 2 questions is supposed to be from your map work. That is our history portion. Okay. Then geography का portion यहाँ पे दिया नहीं गया है, syllabus में है, मेरे PPT से ये remove हो गया है I think, so I'll write it for you. So geography में पहली बात तो सारे chapters except for your last chapter, that is lifelines of national economy, has been deducted because only map questions are supposed to come from it. So I'll write it for you, the geography portion. Okay, so when we're writing of the geography portion, your first chapter is supposed to be resource and development. Okay, first chapter is supposed to be resource and development. Okay, then the second chapter is forest and wildlife resources. Forest and wildlife resources. Okay, then third one was supposed to be water resources. Okay, fourth one is supposed to be agriculture. Okay, then fifth one is supposed to be minerals and energy resources. Minerals and energy resources. Then number 6 is supposed to be manufacturing industries. Manufacturing industries. And number 7 is supposed to be what? Lifelines of national economy. Okay. Lifelines of national economy. So यहाँ पे आप अगर देखेंगे every chapter, none of the chapter is conducted. Geography में हमारे 17 question will be for writing your answers, and rest of the 3 questions will be for what? Rest of the 3 questions will be for map work. Okay, so यहाँ पे जो lifelines of economy का chapter है, this is supposed to be only map work. Okay, this is supposed to be only map work. ऐसी बात नहीं है कि चैप्टर 7 से नेशनल इकोनॉमी से ही मैप वर्क आएगा, रेस्ट ऑफ द पार्ट से भी मैप वर्क आएगा. ओके, रेस्ट ऑफ द क्वेश्चन से भी 1 2 3 4 5 6 तक यहाँ से भी मैप वर्क आने के बहुत सारे चांसेस है. ओके, बट लाइफलाइंस ऑफ द इकोनॉमी से कोई भी राइटिंग क्वेश्चन या राइटिंग आंसर नहीं आने वाला है. यहाँ पे आपको बस क्या मिलने वाला है? यू आर ओनली सपोज टू बी गेट from this, you will only get map questions. Okay, so this is the geography portion we were speaking of. Now let us look into political science. Okay, let us look at political science. Again, political science will have again no map work, directly 2020 questions for economics and political science. So when we are looking at political science, the first chapter is that of power sharing. Then we have federalism, gender, religion, caste, political parties, and outcomes of democracy. So political science altogether will be having 5 chapters for social science. Okay, 5 chapters for social science. And for economics, again, we will be having 5 chapters. Okay, whereby the 5th chapter is non-evaluative. Okay, consumer rights, it is supposed to be non-evaluative. Okay, it is supposed to be non-evaluative. For political science, every chapter is evaluative, every chapter holds equal weightage. Okay, but for consumer rights, let's say this is only supposed to be for non-project, only supposed to be for project work, so we do not need it for an exam perspective. Okay, then okay, so chapters such as development, sectors of economy, money and credit, these are the high scoring areas of economics. And for chapter 4, that is globalization and the Indian economy. Globalization and the Indian economy. Here, globalization that have enabled globalization. Okay, these two factors, what is globalization, what have enabled globalization, may or may not come in your exam, but the rest of the part, this part which includes production across countries, Chinese toys in India, World Trade Organization, struggle for fair globalization, so these part is supposed to come, this part is supposed to come for what? This part is supposed to be evaluated or assessed only for internal work. Okay, only for what? Internal work. Okay, all right. Okay, okay. Next, अगर हम लोग कोर्स के बारे में देखें, मैंने बोला ऑलरेडी राइज ऑफ नेशनलिज्म के बारे में, सॉरी राइज ऑफ नेशनलिज्म इन यूरोप, ठीक है। यहाँ पे फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन का रेफरेंस हमें देखने को मिलेगा, देन सोशल मूवमेंट्स के बारे में हमें देखने को मिलेगा, एटसेट्रा। ओके, सो वी विल बी स्पीकिंग ऑफ फॉर एग्जांपल the world wars. Okay, what led to the world wars and ultimately consequences kya rahe unke, so everything, anything and everything here at, we will be looking at the history chapter 1. Okay, then chapter 2 will have all the movements such as the Khilafat movement, non-cooperation movement, quit India movement, okay, Jallianwala Bagh massacre, etc. everything, anything which has led to the Indian national movement. Okay, nationalism in India, हम लोग यहाँ पे mostly क्या national movement देखने वाले हैं, we are mostly going to look at the national movement here. ओके, नेशनल मूवमेंट, इंडियन नेशनल मूवमेंट के बारे में हम लोग यहाँ पे बात करने वाले हैं। ओके, ठीक है। Okay, so this is about the national movement in India. Okay, so next we have making of the global world. Making of the global world में कुछ ही topics आने वाले हैं, right? And the rest will be evaluated for your internal purposes. Okay, then age of industrialization, again हमने कहा था, मैंने discussion किया था यहाँ पे age of industrialization के बारे में कि this is only supposed to be evaluated for your internal assessment. Okay, for your internal assessment it is supposed to be evaluated only for internal assessment. Okay, all right. Okay, okay, then print culture in the modern world, this is again another important chapter. Okay, this is a very, very important chapter, so we cannot skip this chapter. Okay, so print culture, about how printing techniques were used, block printing, machinery. Okay, so anything and everything which is related to the ideas of printing and how printing led to the revolution. Okay, then we will also speak of the Indian context, how print became popular and how print was supposed to how print was supposed to enhance and how print was supposed to give a pathway for the revolution that was supposed to happen in the Indian context. Okay, so print culture again shall be an important chapter which is not likely to be skipped by CBSE when you are getting your question paper. Okay, so let us look at geography. The geography, resource and development. This is a very, very important chapter. Okay, so we'll be speaking of the different kinds of resources, where it is found, what are its sources. Okay, so these are supposed to be what? The resource and development, idea of resource and development. Okay. Okay, so let's look at the next chapter, which we talked about forest and wildlife resources. Here we'll be talking about ecology, sustainable development. Okay, so in the Indian context, wood, cutting of the wood, soil degradation, then environmental degradation, overall any and every topic which is related to the environment will look in the chapter such as forest and wildlife resources. Okay, then we have water resources, again water resources, water scarcity. Okay, then about dams. Okay, so these are all kind of chapters that we cannot skip. These are supposed to come in your exam, and even map works are viably asked from chapters such as wildlife resources and agriculture as well. Okay, next chapter we have agriculture. So agriculture, as a driving force in the Indian economy, we will discuss about how agriculture is practiced, including jhum cultivation, intensive farming, any type of farming which is related. So everything is beautifully mentioned in your class 10 textbook. So we will be discussing about these things, okay, by the farming community in India. Okay, all right. All right. So it identifies various aspects of agriculture, crop production, okay, pattern, how, in what pattern the crops are being grown, etc. We will be looking at every of these factors in the chapter such as agriculture. Okay, then mineral and energy resources, again, this is about sustainable development, and as well as we will speak about the manufacturing factor, manufacturing dynamic here. Okay, so various kinds of manufacturings, okay, where inputs and products are being discussed very briefly. So we will look at how raw materials are collected and how it is being deployed at different manufacturing sectors, and how they are being produced, and how these final goods ultimately affect the economy. Okay, so these things we will discuss at minerals and minerals and energy resources. All right, then manufacturing industries. Sorry. Okay, manufacturing industries. Here again, this talks about the various processes, end product, okay, raw materials, etc. All right. Then, lifelines of the national economy, if we look into, this chapter is supposed to be analyzed for the map questions, okay? This is supposed to be mostly analyzed for your map work, for your map questions, okay? So, making of the global world, if we look at, these are supposed to be asked. Okay, these are supposed to be asked, and these questions, they tentatively show up in your exam paper. So you do not have to worry about it. We will certainly practice map questions as many as possible. From time to time, we will look into map questions and how map questions needs to be written. Okay, all right. Then if we look at political science, okay, so we are looking at political science now. So political science, we will in this part, Okay, as you all know, we'll be speaking of how power can be shared in the first chapter, which states power sharing, how power will be shared, then how the democratic framework should work like. Okay, so we will have two case studies here, that of Belgium and Sri Lanka. We will be looking at either the majoritarian model and as well as the accommodation model. Okay, as long as we will be going all along the chapters, we will be able to realize that what these terms I have used, such as the accommodative model. Okay, accommodative model is associated with that of Belgium. Okay, and the second one is that of Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is associated with that of the majoritarian model. Okay, majoritarian model. So here we will compare and contrast the power sharing in India as compared to Sri Lanka and Belgium. Okay, and we will also look at the types of power sharing here. We tend to look at the different types of power sharing here. Okay, we'll look at types of power sharing. Okay, then let us look at the next chapter, which speaks of federalism. The students will be here able to, okay, see, the second chapter comes with federalism, whereby we will be speaking of, okay, chapter 3 has been skipped here. Okay, so chapter 2 is about federalism. Okay, whereby we will be studying about how federalism, why federalism, what is federalism, okay, and the different types of federalism. Okay, different types of power, types of distribution of power, such as horizontal distribution, vertical distribution. These everything you're going to study in chapter 2. Okay, and this is about chapter 3. Okay, this is about chapter 3, which speaks of gender, caste and religion. Okay, gender, religion and caste we will be speaking of. All right, all right. Then political parties, in this chapter we will look at how political parties are necessary to function a democracy, how democracy shall be functional. Everything we will be discussing in the form of okay. So we will be looking at political parties as the next chapter. Then we will also look at outcomes of democracy, how democracy gives us certain benefit, okay, certain kind of effects, such as all kinds of discrimination vanishes, all kind of activities, okay, needs to be done in a free and fair manner, such as election we are speaking of. Okay, if we take for example election, okay, again it is to be conducted. It gives us a sense of participation in the decision making process. So we as citizen, okay, we as citizen become actively participative into the process, and ultimately we become what? We become what? Active participators in the decision making process. That is what the outcomes of democracy will speak of. Now let us speak of economics. Economics and geography both has a chapter on development. So this whole idea of development can be correlated. Okay, so whenever we are writing an answer for your board exams, we can usually connect both of them. Okay, so this concoction is also going to earn you marks. Just be cautious of that. This amalgamation you are making between geography and economics, both have some certain kind of similar context. Both chapters have certain kind of similar ideas, which you can totally insert it in your answer. Okay, so these answers you can ask for it, these answers you can make. Okay, these answers you can totally frame for it. Okay, so these are one idea that I have spoken of when it comes to the idea of development. Okay, so जैसे मैंने कहा geography में भी है ऐसा एक chapter, okay, and हमें क्या मिला, eco में भी ऐसा एक same chapter है. So you can usually make, or usually you can collaborate both the chapter, you can mix up both the chapters. Okay, and you can ultimately frame that. Okay. Okay. Then we have the sectors of economy. This is a very important chapter that is that gets asked in your question, okay, about sectors of economy. Then you are also going to be asked about differentiations between, suppose, the formal sector, informal sector, okay, the different sectors between the formal sector, informal sector, okay. Then we have, for example, okay, private and public sector, formal and informal sector, organized, unorganized sector, okay. So these are kind of differentiations that are usually being asked in your class 10 board exams, okay. Okay, then money and credit, again, this is another important chapter. Questions are usually asked from the economics part from the first two chapters, that is either, second and third chapter, that is money and credit, and the second is the sectors of the economy. Okay, so money and credit, again, it is another important chapter that you again will be needing for your exam perspective, right? So as long as you are very much clear with the ideas and the concepts that are being underlaid in these chapters, will be able to write fine answers. Okay, so also I want to tell that writing is an art. Okay, so to write fine answers, you are also supposed to be good at writing use. Okay, again, at the beginning of the session, I'm telling you, always upgrade your vocabulary. Okay, upgrade it, push yourself towards writing better. Always, at least try writing, at least read new word, few new words, then read newspaper, read new novels, do anything or everything to upgrade your vocabulary. Once you have upgraded your vocabulary, find answers and connecting. Okay, there is also this kind of connectivity, this kind of connection where you try to building. Okay, so these connections also you are supposed to learn. Okay, these connections you are also supposed to learn in order to associate yourself, in terms of writing. Okay, then money and credit again became important chapter. Then globalization and the Indian economy, यहाँ से बस first के दो parts ही आने वाले हैं. Okay, and the making of the global world दिया हुआ है, and the lines of national economy, these are supposed to be used only for project work, and they are not supposed to be getting evaluated in your final exam. Okay. Okay. Okay, then next let's come to map work. Map work के लिए कुछ topics आप लोगों को बोल दिया गया है. Let us look history में. देखिए, when we look at the history questions, history में थोड़े indirect questions आते हैं for map work. For example, you'll be asked that mark the point where the 1929 Congress session was done. Okay, so for that Congress session was conducted. So for that, first things first, you will have to know the answer that 1929 session was held here. Okay, so 1929 Congress session was held in Lahore, if I'm not wrong, right? So right, so for that you will have to know the answer. Okay, similarly, the satyagrahas are also getting asked. Kheda, Champaran, Ahmedabad, okay, Jallianwala Bagh massacre, Dandi March. These are important points. You need to learn it. For that, you'll have to practice. Okay, so usually for history, we mostly see indirect questions. Okay, we see indirect questions. You will be asked So first job will be to know the answer, and the second job of yours will be to mark that answer. Okay, so history mostly give you indirect questions, so that makes the history map question a little bit tricky. So we will make sure that you are well aware of the spots, you are well aware of the answers. That is my duty. I'll have to make sure that you people give the correct, and you earn that 5 marks whole. Okay, whole 5 marks you need it from map work, including history and geography. We cannot leave that anyhow. Okay, so my goal is to ensure that you people score 90 plus in humanities, and please be a little regular with your classes, because we are going to note accordingly. All right, okay, then let us see about geography. For geography, usually soil types and their areas are asked. Okay, for water resources like Sardar Sarovar, Hirakud, Nagarjun, Tungabhadra, okay, Salal, Bhakra Nangal, Tehri, Rana Pratap Sagar, these are the dam questions that are asked from geography. Very common question. Okay, then for agriculture, certain kind of areas, okay, certain areas such as the rice and the wheat producing areas are usually asked. Sometimes areas producing sugarcane, tea, coffee, rubber, cotton, jute, these are also sometimes asked. Okay, but these dam questions I'm speaking of, the questions of the dam, okay, dam questions are very common questions that are frequently asked, so we cannot skip that. Then minerals, about iron ore, coal mines, oil fields are sort from time to time it is asked, such as iron ore mines, coal mines, oil fields. These are asked from time to time. Okay, so these questions have been asked earlier. There are probability, or there might be chances this may be asked again. Okay, okay, okay. So these are about, we are looking at oil fields. Here we are looking at oil fields, for example. Okay, then we have about coal mines. Okay, and lastly we have about iron ore. So these are the topics we can't skip for our geography portion. So for geography we will have 3 map questions. Okay, 3 map questions, 1 mark each, and for history we will have 2 questions for 2 mark each for your geography question, sorry, for your history question. So 2 and 3, 2 plus 3 give you 5 marks for your map work, and the rest will be asked for you're writing the questions. Okay, so you'll have to write fine answers first things first, and the second one is you will have to be very accurate with your map pointings. So once you are accurate, once you are very very accurate with your map pointings, these 5 marks, okay, these 5 marks for your map questions cannot be snatched away by anyone. Okay, so if you need to score at least 90 plus in your social exam, your goal has to be these 5 marks. You cannot skip it, because these are direct marks. Okay, for any question, rest of the question, for example, you are writing a 5 mark answer. So if the examiner wants, he will give you 3, or he might give you 4. You may or may not get the full 5 marks, right? So that is, social science is that, for that very reason social science is being made a little difficult, because it is a subjective subject. Even if you are writing your best, the examiner has a scope that he can deduct a little from your answer. Very well and good. Okay, so my suggestion will be for you is that try to upgrade your vocabulary, write answer writing. And another thing is, for your presentation, you'll also have to make sure that your handwriting is well and good. Okay, once your handwriting is well and good, you will be able to write that. Okay, all right, now next map questions is about power plants. Okay, power plants might be asked. Okay, then for manufacturing industries, here cotton textile industries may be sometimes asked, iron steel plants, software technology part, these are usually asked, okay? And then lifelines of national economy, here only map work is supposed to be coming from this chapter, okay? So here usually we are going to look at the major seaports and the international airports, okay? So these two ports are these two things are supposed to be noted, and these two things are likely to be asked in your exam, okay? So see, only 3 questions, only 3 marks are supposed to come from map of geography. So this chapter, it says that only map work is going to come, but not necessarily only from here questions are supposed to come. The rest of the parts I have already mentioned about resources, about areas which produces these crops. So these questions are also likely, these questions may also be likely to be asked in your exam, right? So we cannot simply skip the rest of the part by focusing only on the last chapter, that is lifelines of national economy, okay? Okay, so now let us very briefly look at how the subject-wise weightage is supposed to carry. I already mentioned that your 80 marks, right? Your paper is supposed to be what? 80 marks, okay? So this 80 marks is divided into 4 parts. Each part will include what? 20, 20, 20 and 20, okay? So each part including history 20, geography 20, pol science 20 and economics will also be 20. When we speak of history, I already told you this 20 is divided into 80 plus 2, means 18 plus 2. So this 18 is supposed to be your from your answer writing, okay? Answer writing and MCQs. And on the other hand, this 2 marks is supposed to come from your map questions. And when I speak of geography, this constitute of 17 plus 3, meaning that 17 marks is supposed to come from your answer writing inclusive of the MCQs, and 3 mark is supposed to come from map, okay? And the rest, political science will also come for 20 and economics for 20, okay? All the chapters including map pointing, the percentage is supposed to be 25%, okay? 25 percentage, that is 20, 18 plus 2. Again, all are equally divided, all will be having equal marks, just that history and geography have map pointings, and that map pointing is for geography, you will have 3 map pointings, and for history, you are supposed to have 2 map pointings, okay? And economics, again, here you are supposed to have what? 20 marks that constitute around 25% of your total paper, okay? All right. Okay. Okay, now let us look into type of questions, okay? Type of questions we will look at. Okay. Okay, so question types, if we see, marks is supposed to be 80, right? Marks is supposed to be 80. Total, in a total of MCQs, MCQs मतलब समझ में आ रहा है, MCQs meaning multiple choice questions. So these multiple choice question will constitute 20 number, okay? So 20 multiple choice question, 20 into 1, as you can see, 20 into 1 multiple choice of questions you will get, okay? So these multiple questions again are not going to be easy, because here we are also going to have questions like assertion, reason, differentiation, statement questions, okay? So CBSE is never direct with your questions, so be prepared for a little tricky and rounded up questions, okay? So MCQs will be, so how many MCQs I told you? There will be 20 MCQs, right? 20. So first thing I told you was 20 MCQs, okay? Then we will have 2 mark long answer question, okay? 2 marks for long answer question. 1 mark question you will find 20. 2 marks question you will find how many? 4 kind of 2 mark question, okay? Then 3 mark question there will be 5, okay? Constituting how much marks? 15 marks, okay? 15 marks. Then we have 4 mark question. 4 mark question there will be case study questions, okay? So you'll also have to do critical thinking here in your exam paper, right? So 4 marks again there will be 3 question for 4 mark questions, and for 5 mark question they are supposed to be again how many? 4 of the 5 mark question, okay? So here only you are not supposed to do rote learning. See, every time I'm telling you that our curriculum or our education system is moving away from rote learning, students might not believe me, okay? But as you can see the paper pattern clearly speaks of creative learning, creative thinking, and its application, right? So this creative learning and creative application, if we look into, these are being evaluated now. So get out of that rote learning ideas, rote learning procedures, because now it's time you are supposed to get into higher classes, right? Now apply your brain, think out of the box, try to apply that practically, okay? Try to apply everything that you are thinking practically now. So did you understand what I spoke of the marking scheme? So for 20 marks question, for 1 mark question, okay? So see, there will be 1 mark question, 2 mark question, right? There will be 3 mark question, there will be 4 mark question, and ultimately there will be 5 mark question. 1 mark question, there will be 20, okay? Then 2 mark, there will be 4 questions, okay? 3 mark, there will be 5 questions. 4 mark, there will be 3 questions, and 5 marks, there will be 4 questions, okay? So which constitutes to 20 marks. Then 2 mark question, there will be 4, so it will constitute around 8 total marks of 2, right? Then 15 marks for 3 mark questions, 12 marks for 4 marks questions, and ultimately 5 marks, we have 20 marks in total. All right, and for the map pointings, we have how much? 5, okay? And additionally we have 5 for the map pointing. I hope I'm clear with the marking scheme, how it is supposed to come. I hope I'm clear with it. Okay, so my goal here is simply that you students, okay, step out of your comfort zone, try to critically think, all right? Because the next thing you are supposed to, next thing CBSE asks you, you will not be able to anticipate it. So once you are prepared for the worst, you will be prepared, you will be given back with the best. So that is what I believe. So come out of that rote learning, बस पढ़ना है, बस उसको दिमाग में भर के रखना है, ऐसे नहीं चलेगा. We will have to step out of our comfort zone, critically think and apply that critical thinking to answer writing. Okay, so we will focus mainly on our answer writing skills, and also we are trying to focus on how these answer writing how these answer writing is supposed to benefit us. I will teach you how to write answers. I will teach you how to write fine answers, okay? So my students never complain that I got less marking, because I have taught them how to write answers, okay? Once you are prepared, once you know how to write answer, how to present answer, I tell you, I can guarantee that no examiner will be able to deduct a lot of marks, okay? Even for subjective subjects, it is very easy to deduct marks. That is why I'm telling you, presentation, handwriting, and your creative thinking will give you the best possible result you can ever anticipate. All right? Okay, so this was about the way, about the type of questions we were looking at, okay? So this is simple thing here. As you can see, remembering and understanding, you have total 24 marks, okay? So यहाँ पे जो marking, these are the type of question. This is you are going to find in your question paper, okay? This is what you are going to find in your question paper. But when I'm speaking of this weightage to the competency level, it means what type of question or what type of things are going to constitute how much of marks. So for remembering and understanding, it means you'll have to remember some kind of things for some kind of facts. Yes, rote learning is needed for some kind of facts. For example, history, you'll have to recall the years. So those years, you cannot creatively make the years, right? You will have to know the entire sequence. So when it comes to history, we will have to stick to rote learning. We will have to stick to recalling things. So that is what it is said, that for remembering and understanding, around 24 marks in your paper will be kept, okay? Then for applying whatever you have studied, so these problem solving techniques are to be evaluated for 11 marks in your paper, okay? And lastly, analyzing, evaluating and creating, okay, this again will have 40 marks, and map skill ultimately have you 5 marks. So this total will give you 80 marks in total, okay? All right, so apart from remembering, you see here you are also supposed to have problem solving, creative thinking, analyzing, applicability, as well as for the map work also, right? Okay, so this is what about our competency skills, meaning that this kind of skills we are speaking of. So these are the skills ultimately that you need to for the, I mean, that you need to write your paper. Okay, that you need to write your paper. All right. So very well and good, right? So my suggestion for my students, for you all, ultimately, is that social science is very interesting, and we will try to learn it in a more interesting manner, so that this traditional perception, the mainstream perception that history is boring, social science, political science is tough, economics is not very interesting. So we will leave all those assumptions behind. So as soon as students are entering my class, as soon as you are connecting to the class, forget every of these mainstream ideas, because only thing that we are going to recall here, the only thing that we are going to remember here is that we will learn something new today. Okay, so we are supposed to be learning new things every day. So we will leave aside every mainstream ideas about how social science can be boring, and we will start afresh about how we can proceed further, right? So that is what is about the class. We discussed very briefly, actually we discussed it in depth, that how your question paper is divided, and how we will begin with our classes. Okay, so we will begin with easy parts of our social science syllabus. Okay, so for example, we can begin with either economics, or we can begin with political science, because these are inclusive of very easy parts. So since if we take, okay, a very easy part, we are also able to cover it faster, we'll be able to understand it better. Okay, so that is what is about today's class. Okay, and I hope now you have a clear description of what your syllabus is consisting of, and what this syllabus will provide you. So here at ExSchool, you are also going to have a very beautiful experience with the rest of the teachers as well. I hope so you'll be able to. So हम आज का क्लास यहीं पे फिनिश करेंगे, क्योंकि ऑलमोस्ट हमारा सिलेबस डिस्कशन आज के लिए खत्म हो चुका है. देन थैंक यू सो मच, एंड आई होप वी विल मीट अगेन इन द नेक्स्ट लाइव क्लास. एंड यू मे आस्क, अगर आप लोगों को कोई भी तकलीफ हो रही है, एनी डिफिकल्टी, एनी क्वेरी रिगार्डिंग योर सिलेबस, यू मे very in a friendly manner, you may ask about it. Okay, so we will end the class for today. Thank you so much, and we will meet again. Thank you.